Hey folks, my name is Pravus, and welcome to a game I discovered recently called Lessaria, although it did come out in October of last year. The reason this game jumped out to me is that it is something that turns the classic RTS genre on its head. Instead of having immediate and total hive mind control of your units, all of the heroes in your city have a mind of their own, and if you want them to kill something for you, you're going to have to incentivize them. As they say, money does make the world go round. Now, the older gamers amongst you might say, that sounds a lot like the game Majesty, or the ill-fated sequel Majesty 2. And yeah, this game is clearly very, very heavily inspired by those games. Heck, I think they even got one of the original voice actors. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into a game and I'll show you how this works. Now, there is a full story-based campaign here, and the story is decent. The levels are all kind of the same at some point, though, in the terms that no matter what the objectives are, you all kind of play them the same way. They're really more of an excuse just to introduce you to new unit types, except for the last mission, which is hard as balls, and it throws everybody off. That one takes a few attempts, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and just do a simple survival game so I don't spoil any of the story. This should at least show off what I want to. And here we go. Now, this is going to be our castle right here in the center. We need to protect it at all costs. In order to do that, I need to hire, or rather just recruit and make space for some worthy adventurers who can slay all of the monsters that undoubtedly want to eat my giblets. To do that, we'll be placing down some guilds. Because we can't place down a simple barracks and recruit armies and control them, as I said, this is not your normal RTS. Instead, all we do is just simply build up the guilds, let them join our city, and then they'll just kind of go off and do their own thing. I also need to think about how I'm going to make some money, because the only way to get heroes to do what you want them to do is to pay them. So generating some resources isn't a half-bad idea. I'll place down a lumber mill in that direction, plus I'd like to get myself a couple of peasant houses, because I know I'm going to get population capped very, very quickly. Rangers Guild is about to be done. We can go ahead and hire up 2 Rangers right now. We can only have 3 in this particular guild. If I build more guilds, we could, of course, hire more of this hero type, but I think 3 is going to be plenty. These guys are great at exploring and dealing with all of the wildlife. That's kind of their entire thing. We'll also go ahead and research a skill for them called camouflage so they can escape from danger if it looks like they are going to die. So this character right here just spawned. This is Star Shadow. She has her own agenda, and I have absolutely no control of her as she runs around and opens all these loot boxes, finding some loot, getting some money, and she's going to find animals that she can kill. The only way I can get her to do anything is by issuing tasks. There are different kinds of tasks shown down here in the bottom right. Exploration tasks, attack tasks, and defense tasks. So I can say, hey, defend this building for 2 minutes and I'll give you 50 gold. And Althea over here says, yeah, I'd accept that contract. Same kind of idea with attack, same kind of idea with everything else. So money is literally what is going to keep your kingdom alive. If you want anyone to defend you, you need to be prepared to pay for it. Let's go ahead and hire up a few knights for some defensive units, my last ranger, and that will have to be good enough. There is my lumber mill over here. Now we have a couple of workers that will be chopping down trees and generating some extra income. I can speed things up a little bit by using Royal Influence, my other resource over here, which just speeds them up. They chop faster, they move faster. That's it. We also have tax collectors wandering around. Every single building in your kingdom does generate some income, but the resource buildings are usually going to be the best for you. There are other things that I would like to get. I could get myself a Thieves Guild, which is another type of unit, and those guys are relatively high DPS. Not great all on their own. They're kind of squishy glass cannons, but you know, a little bit more guys wandering around wouldn't be a horrible, horrible thing for us. Now, if you look around on the map here, what you're going to see is that there are a handful of different spawners in the world. This, for example, is a rat's lair. It will be periodically just spawning rats who are going to come and attack my city. My heroes can easily deal with them, but if we want to prevent these from spawning in the first place, let's go ahead and issue an attack command over here and say I'll pay 50 gold to anyone who wants to destroy the lair. And 5 heroes are saying, yeah, absolutely, I want to get in on that action, and that's great. But what are heroes going to do with money? I mean, you'd think that's kind of useless. They don't pay taxes unto you. Well, what you can do instead is try to equip them with better weapons and build infrastructure to make your heroes better. So for example, I'll place down a blacksmith over here plus a magic shop. These are 2 different buildings that can sell better armaments for them, better trinkets or potions. And they'll take those with them, and that will make them more effective in combat. Without these, they'll never be able to scale up high enough to deal with all of these enemies. And right now, there are quite a few rats. You will see as they kill these enemies, though, they also generate a tiny little bit of money that way as well. So, I mean, basically, the more things they kill, the stronger they get. They get experience, they get money, they buy gear, and they just get more and more powerful as time goes on. Now, these heroes aren't going to be incredibly strong by themselves, and they're prone to getting themselves in bad situations and killed. One thing we could do is build up a tavern. This is one area where your people will be able to spend some of their money having a nice glass of ale, but also you'll be able to get them to join up in party groups and travel together, and that is going to make them a lot more potent and a lot safer. Now, one problem with survival mode is that there are going to be waves of enemies approaching every couple of minutes. And the more of these layers exist on the map, the more dangerous they are going to be, though this will increase over time no matter what, so that's kind of an issue. In fact, right here, I see enemies on their way. Let's issue a quick defense task over here for 100 gold, maybe a little bit more. Okay, well, 200 is kind of more than I wanted to pay. I'm going to cancel that task and just try again for 100. Let the knights go and do their thing. They like defensive tasks. That's kind of their thing. So I need them to go defend over here, but what was I saying? Oh, right, so the waves are going to get worse and worse and worse. In survival mode, that is especially true. At some point, we are going to get overwhelmed. This is a certainty. We could build up some fortifications. Ballista towers, for example, aren't a bad idea to have some ranged defense. They won't be sufficient eventually, but they certainly will help a little bit. And let's go ahead and start putting together a squad or two. We can have one right now. Let's say we want to have Hornarl, Viron, and Taria all in a group together. You like having a variety of classes. It just kind of builds up their utility. I'd also like to get myself one more guild over here once I have a little bit more money, and that is going to be the Mages Academy. That's going to be my 4th basic class that I can toss onto the pile. Another wave of enemies approaching, just in time for me to place up one of these towers over here. Okay. Set up another defense task. People should be able to go get some money. Now, these Ballista Tower are more important than you would think. If you level them up to level 2, you're going to be able to get yourself not only an extra soldier running around, a free soldier who just delays the waves, but also, weirdly enough, you get more tax collectors. And more collectors running around means you're more efficient at gathering up all the money so your economy boosts up. So a strong defense, it turns out, is actually really good for your economy. Go figure. Now, don't forget periodically that you do want to come to some of these guilds and make sure you get them upgraded. We can level these up to level 2, which is going to give all of my heroes more abilities. And the more abilities they have, the more utility they're going to have to survive, which could be pretty good for obvious reasons. So case in point, these rangers could learn how to do a fire arrow, taming an animal, more crit chance, and so on. You should also consider upgrading things like your blacksmith or your magic shop for the same reasons. Better gear means stronger heroes that can take on bigger and scarier things. Now, once you get to this point here and you have a level 2 castle, you will be able to start getting some other types of units. So far, we've only unlocked the absolute basics. There are also going to be allied races, in this case, dwarves, orcs, and elves. You can only have one of these 3 different races. The other 2 will be locked out. Or you could go for some special factions based on alignment. In this case, we have good, evil, and neutral. Once you choose your alignment, the others are going to be blocked out, so choose wisely. I actually do like the good faction a fair bit, mainly because getting things like healers and angels is pretty good for healing yourself. And if you have lots of healing units, well, that's going to make it a lot easier to keep your heroes alive. The longer they live, the more things they kill, the stronger they get. The worst thing that can happen is to have a lot of time invested in a hero, and then they just die on you. That would suck. Now, I'm just going to look around the map here and find a few things, like this goblin camp over here. We got a little time before the next wave. We should spend that time trying to clear a few things out before they get too strong. That'll reduce the power of the next round of waves. Normally in the campaign, waves do happen, but they're not very frequent, and they spawn on the edge of the map and then have to wander all the way over to you. And it's not the case in survival mode. In survival mode, unfortunately, they do kind of spawn literally right on top of you, which I do find highly irritating at times, but I mean, like, what can you do? I mean, heck, we're already getting attacked by these giant freaking toads over here. That's going to be a problem, and we're barely ready to deal with any of that. Didn't get enough towers built, man. Didn't get enough towers. And they're absolutely slaughtering my useless units right now. Good God. I really need to start generating a lot more money, and fast. The more money I have, generally speaking, the better I'll be able to hire up new heroes, make sure they can get more upgrades, and so on. So the balance of this game ends up being a little bit delicate here. Like, I have to keep sending out defensive tasks, exploration tasks, trying to get people to clear the map out for me so I have at least a little bit of security and control. And I also am really incentivized to keep the money flowing to my heroes. As long as they're able to make money, they can keep buying gear. Now, I don't think that this gear really gets paid to my coffers. I don't think I make any money back, so it's kind of a little expensive, right? Like, I don't really benefit from selling this stuff to them. Nonetheless, I do think it overall is good. The stronger your heroes are, the longer they can survive, the less money you have to invest otherwise. What other things could I build? Well, we could get ourselves a library. Libraries are useful because then I'll be able to cast spells of my own, and it is the only way that I'll be able to influence a battlefield, right, since I can't control my heroes. But I could cast, let's say, a defensive charm or some healing or summon a unit or anything along those lines, which is very, very useful. The only problem is, like everything else, it costs money, and money is the one thing I don't feel like I have enough of yet. Now, what I would like to do is just place down 1 million of these ballista tower, right? A whole bunch of them to make sure that I am nice and well defended. Only downside is, every single building in this game, the more of them you place down, the more the cost scales for everything else. So if I place down a couple more towers, it just keeps getting more and more expensive for each consecutive one. At some point, that's going to be too expensive for me to bear. Same thing is true if I want to place down some additional guilds, right? You want to have a whole bunch of healers? It's not a bad idea, but be prepared to pay a lot more. First Healer's Temple costs 500. Now it costs 1,000. It'd be worth trying to get myself some paladins, though. I do like having some palabros. These guys are kind of good as warriors, right? They can get like an invulnerability shield and stuff. They can do a little bit of like demon banishing, that kind of stuff. They feel very much like paladins from World of Warcraft, which is fine with me. It's a familiar trope. A wave of enemies coming in over here. This paladin came at a really bad time. Hopefully he's able to get away. Could incentivize with an attack command and send some more folks over here to try and make sure he doesn't die. I really don't like investing money in heroes only for them to die on me, which this guy's about to do. He's going to try to limp away, but it's not enough. Oh, good lord. Well, that's 400 gold wasted. This is why you want to have your units traveling as groups as much as possible. It kind of prevents them from running into exactly that situation. Do we want to get ourselves things like elves, orcs, or dwarves? Dwarves are pretty good. I do like them. I also do like the orc shamans. They're not bad, but the dwarves might be the best way to go. Yeah, I'm going to try getting some dwarves. Let's go ahead and add them to the roster. And let's upgrade the tavern, because soon I want to be able to put together another couple of groups or so. Wow, wow! Giant spider just spawned over here. Okay, that sucks. Good news, I already had a whole bunch of heroes over here, so it's not the end of the world. I was trying to deal with a giant fungus that just spawned over here, but now we get to kill a giant spider instead. That was quite lucky, actually. Whoa, whoa, just saw a dragon over here. Frick me. Okay, I don't want to deal with that. What we can do in order to avoid a dragon is place down a danger zone over here. Welcome to the danger zone. But basically that's like, hey, forget whatever orders were over here. This is a death trap. Just run away. Don't hang out over here. Terrible idea. Now, if I can really get a lot of money, what I want to get next are some angelic gates. These are, unsurprisingly, going to get some very, very powerful units. You can only ever hire one from these very high-level guilds, but an angel is pretty strong, unsurprisingly. They can throw spears of holy light, they can buff their allies. If you continue leveling this up, you'll even get a resurrection ability, which can be very nice. The library can teach you a resurrection spell as well, but it costs like 500 gold every time you use it, plus 2,000 gold to study. Pretty darn expensive, I tell you what. I'd really love to go kill that dragon, but that's going to be a pretty tough sell. Dragons are, unsurprisingly, very, very, very strong. And now that we've kind of reached this point here where I have 5 full parties and stuff and a few rangers just exploring the map for us, there's not a whole lot more that I think I can realistically do, which I think is one of the big downsides of this game, and this is true on the campaign as well. You kind of reach a point where it's like, well, I've cleared the map, now I'm just waiting for some, you know, different objectives to finish or something. And in survival mode, it's only going to get crazier and crazier from here, because at this point we can't clear much else off the map, so the difficulty of every wave is just going to grow. Which is a little scary, but I mean, hey, what can you do? But our economy is chugging along pretty nicely. We've got ourselves plenty of tax collectors running around, making sure I'm getting paid my fair due. And this is kind of the downside of playing a game that's so different and very hands-off. I'm playing a real-time strategy game where I don't really have a lot to do except sort of sit back and watch. Unless, of course, I'm willing to spend a ton of money on spells, which I will do eventually, but yeah, it does feel a little bit weird to have nothing important to do. Makes you feel more passive than you actually are, if that makes any sense. Anyway, let's go ahead and build up a training camp over here, and I'll make sure that all of our heroes are at least at level 5 at this point, and what we can do is go to any heroes that are below level 5 and just spend some money to go ahead and boost them up a little bit. Which increases their stats, and yeah, you're investing a lot more money in these guys, but I think it's worth it just to make sure they're as strong as possible. It's also a good way of hiring new heroes when they eventually do die and get replaced, and then just really quickly build them back up. Now, one thing I have heard from people about this game is they do feel like it copies the effects of Majesty just a bit too much. I'm not really in a good position to say if that's totally fair or not. It has been a very, 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 very long time since I played any of the Majesty games. which maybe I should do someday. I remember Majesty 2 was not especially well received, which I thought was a little bit weird, but I mean, it's kind of a lot like this game. A lot like it. And I don't know, I am having fun with this. Even though I know it's got a little bit of a jank to it, I still am having some fun. To some degree, though, that's probably just because, like, literally anything that is different from what I'm used to is attractive to me right now. In my position, I have played how many hundreds of indie games at this point? So anything that breaks from the very classic, stale RTS genre is at least pretty exciting for me, a little bit. And we have another wave coming in right here. I'd like to deal with this nice and quickly if we can. I don't know that one paladin's going to be able to hold it, but maybe he can. Angels are on the way! Throw that spear! Boom. Okay, just trying to save some money. I do want to try to fight that dragon, but I don't have a lot of time before the danger level continues to get worse and worse and worse. Also, it would be nice to have a lot of money stocked up so I can have the resurrection spell and make sure I get some protections and healing spells out there. But that's very expensive, and the longer I wait, the worse this gets. Can I kill the dang dragon? I really want to. Let's at least have the resurrection spell on hand. At this point, whenever heroes die, it's going to be a very painful experience trying to get them back up. So it is worth spending the money trying to make sure that they stay alive or bring them back to life and they don't have to rebuy all of their stupid gear. So let's deal with this wave of enemies real quick, and then we'll see if we can kill the dragon quickly enough, though I kind of doubt it'll be very fast. I'm going to place down a scouting mission over here real quick just to get people moving, then cancel the task. Then we can say, alrighty, let's throw out, let's say, 500 gold. Every single hero, well, almost every single one, says, yeah, I think the idea of killing a dragon sounds kind of fun. I'm just hoping they all actually, like, group up a little bit instead of trickling in one by one. And this is another area where not being able to control the heroes can get a little on the annoying side. Because sometimes they just all kind of, like, take really stupid paths to get places, and it's like, if this were a regular RTS, I wouldn't have this problem, now would I? But at this point, we have enough heroes all gathering together. We should be able to do something. Let's see if this is going to work. I'm going to place down a nice Divine Protection spell over here, try to get a buff on as many of these guys as possible, and then hope we have enough healing to deal with this, though I will be paying attention to this myself. Cast those meteors, cast those freezing spells, whatever it takes, don't die on me now! I do know in survival mode at some point we're going to have a lot of dragons attacking us, so if we can't handle one, we're really in trouble. There goes one of those heroes. That didn't take long. Oh gosh, let's just go ahead and get him back up. This is what I'm talking about. These dragons, man, they can get a little scary. I'd rather spend a small amount of money trying to keep the healing up nice and... Oh, there goes another one. Gosh dang it, same guy, too. Stop dying, you loser! Oh, there goes one of the thieves now, too. The dragon's only at half health. Oh, God. Oh, God, now we got 3 people down. See, and I'm not going to be able to resurrect people fast enough for this. I don't have enough money, nor does the spell have a short enough cooldown for that to make sense. I'll keep trying to get the tanks back up, but yeah, this is not ideal. Just kill the freaking dragon, man. I can get a couple of replacement rogues. Rogues are expendable, right? Probably. Nobody likes them anyway. That's what I'm trying to say. Gosh dang, this same guy! Arton! You keep dying! Stop sucking! Whatever, the dragon's finally dead. Yeesh, okay. You know, I would have liked it if the angels had done a bit more resurrections of their own, I'm just saying. That would have been very nice of you. But no. Couldn't be bothered. Oh god, there's already a dragon back in my base. Ah! See, I didn't know this was gonna be a thing now. Great, we're getting crushed. I will say it does feel like there are parts of the game that are a little bit, shall we say, incomplete. Like, what if I could just place down, like, some walls to defend? Or what if all these different resources actually could be used for certain buildings instead of just being generic income buildings, you know what I mean? Gosh dang, why do they have to keep putting dragons over here, though, for real? Who thought that fighting dragons in this survival game was gonna be fun? I literally can't make enough money to keep casting resurrection spells on you losers. And almost all my towers have fallen at this point. Yeah, this is just GG. I mean, we're not even full at our final form. I think the next wave spawns 2 dragons, unless I'm very much mistaken. So we might be able to kill this one, but at this point, enough stuff has died that, like, just forget about it, man. Just forget about it. There he goes. If they gave me more avenues to have a more fair experience, I feel like this could be a more fun thing in survival mode. But the problem is every single map is basically the same. And you've created it on a system where waves literally spawn on top of you, so you can't even be smart about your positioning. You just have to build really, really tight. And then, I mean, there's really limited stuff you can do when this waves spawn this close together. Like, I can't even venture out in the world to do anything. And even if I wanted to, guess what? There's nothing left to do. I already finished it all. So it's just kind of like, I don't know. Survival mode, I don't think, is really the best example for what this game has to offer. Unfortunately, the campaign is more fun. Hey, look, more dragons. But again, the campaign is, at the end of the day, just kind of like okay in terms of its story. And yet, despite all of that, I just had fun. I mean, it's kind of rare that I actually play through an entire game, so that probably tells you at least a little something, right? And you know, despite my complaints a little bit about the survival mode and kind of how it works, it's enough to at least show you what I wanted to show you in this game. Now you at least know how Lesaria is supposed to work. And I feel like there's plenty of opportunities to continue expanding upon this game and cleaning it up and making it a little bit better. 1 star? Wait a minute, after surviving for over an hour? Alright, 0 out of 10 stars for you, game. I thought I did pretty good. 1 star, that's just a kick in the teeth for a mode where you literally can't win. Anyway, that's a look at Lesaria, everyone. If you want to call it a knockoff on Majesty, you can. That's perfectly fine with me. But Majesty as a series hasn't gone anywhere for a while, and now we have people trying to pick up the mantle. And frankly, I am glad to see anyone doing something a little bit different from the old RTS genre. I think that the indirect nature of this game is what makes it interesting. And that's why I've had fun with it. If you guys want to learn more about the game, there will be a link in the description down below. Go ahead and click on that if you'd like. Otherwise, if you found this game informative in any way, go ahead and hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, hit that notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.